Welcome to our webinar on A players with AssessFirst. Thank you for joining us. During the webinar, if you have any questions for us or you want to tweet, you can use the hashtag AFWebinar and get in touch with us if you have any questions. Just to introduce myself, my name is John Hughes and I'm the account executive with AssessFirst, and I'm here today with David Bernard, who is the founder and CEO of AssessFirst.
Hello, I'm David Bernard. I graduated as a business psychologist in 2002 and founded AssessFirst the same year. Today, we are the leader in the field of predictive recruitment. I'm really happy to be with you today with John to talk about A players and predictive recruitment. And during this webinar, we'll explore the psychology of A players. We will see how we can spot them, which particular traits characterize them, and also how to recruit them for your company. John, who exactly are the so-called A players?
Thank you, David. When we speak of the notion of A players, what are they exactly? They tend to be people who will work hard, they go beyond their assigned tasks or what is asked of them. They're both appreciated and respected, and they're people who want to climb the ladder. They will evolve, change and grow within a company rapidly. But of course, if you have the notion of A players, you also have the notion of different profiles. So within B players, which are the vast majority of employees, these people are people who do their job, they do the 9 to 5, they do what's expected of them, they reach their targets and conform to what is asked of them, and they're good, but not great. And then there's also C players who deliver the minimum, they don't take the initiative, and they can create conflict with their co-workers, and don't feel that they are accountable or responsible. They're not proactive workers. When we look at those profiles, it's important to look at them also as managers who recruit and look for competencies which are similar to theirs. So, for example, what characterizes A players, particularly when they're recruiting other people, is that they need to learn and grow. As a manager, they will often be looking for similar profiles to challenge them, to help them to learn and to grow. They need to be challenged. B players, as a manager, will rarely choose a candidate that is more brilliant than them. They're scared that their place will be taken. And as managers, C players have very little interest in choosing a brilliant candidate. They'll take nearly any kind of profile into the company. If we look at the distribution of the population with relation to these profiles, that is to say, how are these profiles generally distributed through a workplace? Often you will find that A players represent 5% of an organization. 10% of these are C players, and the vast majority of employees are B players. Employees who are good, do their job, will reach their expectations, but will not necessarily push the boundaries to create exceptional results. What predictive recruitment can help to achieve is to radically change this theoretic distribution of the population in the workplace from the standard distribution into something more desirable and dynamic. And what we will look at today is how predictive recruitment can help you increase the amount of A players in your organization to reach better results. So, how do you identify A players? What are the characteristics of an A player beyond the general traits we identified before, and how can we identify them concretely? First of all, there is the question of hard skills, the candidate's technical competence. Of course, these hard skills are indispensable for a good employee. Without them, they can't do their job. But it is not that alone which means that a person will create a real difference. And why? Because Today, we consider that hard skills will generate 20% and only 20% of the difference in performance for those who perform at the highest level and those that have some difficulty in their area of work. The other side of this, and it's something that we will look at in more detail, are the soft skills. Soft skills account for up to 80% of the difference in performance in a workplace between an average and a brilliant employee. So what do we mean by soft skills? Soft skills are characterized by, and each of us at AssessFirst, as the combination of 3 different unique points. First of all, the capacity to reason. How someone deals with and resolves situations in the workplace. Problems, working with others, the types of solutions they come up with, and if that person thinks on their feet. When we talk about reasoning, what we're talking about is what the person is capable of doing, what they can do. The second essential factor is the motivation. Now, we enter into the domain of what the person wants to do. We hear about motivation, but actually what it really means is the fundamental needs that someone has within their job. It is important to understand that we all have certain needs that we are looking to fulfill. Certain people look for security, others look for a provocation or a challenge, some the proximity to others, some a good salary or to be in a respected position. All these fundamental needs within an individual are what drives our behavior and will create the factors that we recognize as motivation. And finally, the third crucial key point is personality. If reasoning is what I can do, motivation is what I want to do, personality is how will I, in reality, behave in different situations. What is my natural behavior when faced with different tasks and environments, whether that is in work or my relationship with others. In order to identify these different drivers essential to finding an A player, AssessFirst has developed a way of evaluating each of these key factors with a format that takes only 10 minutes to complete. To evaluate reasoning, we have created Brain. Brain will allow you to evaluate 4 different factors of intellectual ability, 4 ways of thinking, 4 different ways of approaching a problem through numerical, verbal, and abstract ideas. Next, we have Drive. Drive is a tool which will help to evaluate motivation. Here, you will be able to look at 20 different fundamental motivators to give you an idea of what will produce the satisfaction and, above all, the engagement of someone in your company. And thirdly, we have Shape, which will tell you what kind of behavior someone will bring to your workplace, how they will work with others, deal with stress, their preferred working style. Thanks to the algorithms we have put in place, and as soon as a collaborator has completed the 3 evaluations, we can identify clearly and precisely that candidate's natural talents, what that person will characteristically do in a given situation, what they do best and what they like to do, which in another person would take a great effort to achieve. And to identify A players, you need to understand the natural talents of each of your candidates and employees with a predictive model. A predictive model will help you to identify the characteristics you need to seek out and to go beyond your company's normal expectations. Within that predictive model, you will find the power of reasoning, also the speed of execution, how quickly someone thinks and reacts, resolves a problem, their intellectual agility. You will be able to recognize the main traits of their personality. For an A player, you will be able to see if they react to situations in a positive manner, in a normal situation, but also in a more stressful environment. What is more, you will see the motivation of an A player. It's very important to remember We're not looking at someone who wants to do the job, as many people will say that. Would you be able to identify within a 20 or 45-minute traditional interview that the candidate in front of you is the right one? What we center on are the fundamental needs of a candidate, meaning that if you find the right fit in the candidate's motivation to your needs, then both the candidate and employee will be happy and exceed expectations for the company. So we have created at AssessFirst a profile which corresponds to what we consider to be an A player. This will help you to seek out the profile of a candidate with a stronger potential to contribute, to push your company to success, a stronger potential to evolve, and those with the potential to take the lead. Between 2006 and 2016, we have evaluated over 5 million people in 30 different countries, and we have created an analysis of the entirety of that data, from the evaluation of candidates from our own customers and by working with the different extracts of our database, and through the different treatment of the information, the different studies we have created, we have identified a specific pattern identification. Within what we call the pattern identification, we decided to concentrate on the top 5%, as in what characterizes the top 5% who outperform the others. And this is what we discovered. This is a radar of the traits that we would look for in an A player's personality. It is someone who has strong leadership, they have the capacity to approach others, an aptitude to convince others, sell their ideas, meaning they can easily express their vision and ideas. And we can see at the same time that this person is less strong in consulting with others. They are very decisive, they are authoritative, and don't wait for others to tell them what it is they should be doing. We can also see that this person has a strong need to be inventive at work. They look to deliver more, have strong perseverance and ability to follow things through. When we look at whether the person is looking for stability in their work, the ideal candidate will have a low score for this trait, meaning this is someone who will leave their comfort zone and someone who does not hesitate to take risks when the situation demands. If we look at their motivations, here are the key factors that drive an A player. The first, to excel every day, go beyond assigned tasks. It's important to remember that what we saw before, someone's personality, is their natural and potential behavior. It is not that because you have the capacity to deliver more that you will, but that you want to do it. You want to have that challenge at work. Here with our drive evaluation, we will see what the motivations are that the person needs. So, to excel every day, to be autonomous, the capacity to succeed in an uncertain environment, someone who wants to be influential. Not only is there the potential for leadership, but also the desire to have a positive impact on the world and to regularly give good results. These 6 drivers of motivation are in general the key traits we see in the highest performing employee and those which will succeed within a company. And if we look at their intellectual capacity, the results here are pretty clear. Remember the 4 factors we analyze at AssessFirst to evaluate intellect: the capacity to analyze a situation, the capacity to mobilize their knowledge and resolve situations, their aptitude with figures and manipulating data, and how they manage with unexpected situations. Not in an emotional way, but in an analytical, intellectual way. Here, we're looking for a maximum score on all of these criteria. Now, when we go through that, to find an A player, as you can see with these results, these are people that outperform and go beyond. And these scores here represent only 2% of the population. And what you will see as we continue this webinar, that this is the theoretical profile that we have identified, but that in reality, we will look for profiles wider than simply 2% of the population. So what David is going to show us practically is how can you recruit this type of candidate for your company?
Absolutely. So how can you recruit them for your company? First, you absolutely have to consider the very specific context of your company. For that, we regularly conduct talent review projects. For AssessFirst, a talent review project is all about replying to the following question. Can my candidates succeed and thrive in the position I'm recruiting for in the specific context of my company? All that based on the analysis of what makes people successful in my company. So let's explore the outside of a talent review project. For a talent review project to be successful, there are 3 pillars you absolutely have to include. First, you must address a very specific problem. For some companies, they want to reduce their attrition rate. Some want to hire more productive employees. Others want to dramatically reduce their time to hire. If you do not address a very specific problem, it will make the entire project less effective. So be very specific when you define the problem you want to address. The second point is that you must study a well-defined population. For example, you salespeople or you managers. Of course, you can study the entire population of your company and try to find significant conclusions. But most of the time, it would be much more effective to conduct your study on a very specific population. And to finish, you also need a pertinent data set. You'll have to gather data that are already stored in your human resources information system, and you'll have to obtain additional information in order to make accurate predictions. First, there is the HR data. This data can concern the level of performance of each of your employees, the time that they've been working in your company, or the region in which they operate. You must include all data that you think is relevant regarding your business. After that, we have to gather behavioral data concerning the reasoning abilities of your employees, their motivations, and their personality. Once we gather all this information, we give it to our data scientists. They will work on it to identify a pertinent predictive model. For example, what makes some of your salespeople so effective, or what traits explain the fact that some of your people are leaving the company. The timeline for such a project is as follows. First, we scope your project by defining a clear problem to address. After that, we help you craft a good internal communication, because we know that sometimes it can be tricky to ask your employees to fill in questionnaires depending on your current context. Then comes the data gathering time. We gather all the HR data and all the test results of your employees. Our data scientists work on your data to create the best possible predictive model for your company. And finally, we make you a restitution and deliver recommendations concerning how you can make the best of the predictive model. Could it be for recruitment purposes or for internal mobility management? On average, all the steps require approximately 1 month. After a defined period, it can be 6 or 12 months, we make a follow-up of the results to ensure the effectiveness of the predictive model. But what exactly is a predictive model? It looks like that. For every statistically significant trait regarding personality, motivation, or aptitude, we define desirable score ranges in green and undesirable score ranges in red. What is very interesting is that we can be as precise and specific as needed. That is the reason why 2 predictive models are never exactly alike. With that predictive model, you can now determine the potential of your candidates for the position you are recruiting for. And we recommend you to only select people that obtain a 60% or more alignment with your predictive model. That is the best practice. As an example, this is the kind of results you can obtain using a predictive model based on the talent review project in your own company. In this example, over a period of 1 year, 62 people have been recruited by the company using a predictive model we created for them. When the company followed our recommendation to recruit only people 60% or more aligned with the model, 70% of those people were not only normally performing, but overperforming on the job. It translated into a spectacular increase of the revenue generated by those people. But because there is a but, the question you probably want to ask is it logical to predict future performance based on past performance? Of course, we all know that the world changes constantly, and the reply is a clear no. We cannot do that over the long term. That is why our talent review projects are never one-shot projects. For every talent review project you conduct, we systematically conduct a review of the model 12 months after. And depending on the new findings we discover, we can adjust your model for it to stay effective over the long term. And John, can you explain us how to use it in the real life?
Thank you, David. So here what we're going to look at is how will this model work practically for you? Once you have created a predictive model and you can create it on your AssessFirst account, how will you be able to spot straight away the prospective candidate that matches this A-player model? So here we're connected to the AssessFirst platform, and when you go into recruitment, you can choose your predictive model. Here we have a panel which shows all the ongoing recruitments at AssessFirst. And if I wanted to create a new predictive model, what I need to do is click on Create a Recruitment Campaign. You can choose a predictive model to analyze the candidates, which has been predefined to look for the key factors we discussed before. You can give your campaign a name. We can pick the sector of activity the company is in. So for us, it would be internet. And then here we have the opportunity to add a manager, someone who has also taken the AssessFirst evaluation to see whether the prospective candidate for the job will work well with the associated manager of the role. Once that is done, you simply get a link to add to a job offer or to put on a job board. You can put it on LinkedIn, on social media, wherever you like, so that when someone applies to the role, they will immediately go into AssessFirst's evaluation and be able to complete shape, drive, and brain. And you as a recruiter will see this. From all the candidates that have applied to the job and completed the assessment, and here we have a number of candidates, you will be able to see our ranking for the profile of A players which we have described today. For example, AssessFirst ourselves have used this model consistently so that we're working with candidates that have the potential to change, have the potential to perform the best. Of course, not everyone is 100% the same profile, but as we advise our customers, and as David spoke before, we look for people with a score of 60% or over to interview or work with. One of our other functionalities is the ability to quickly manage the candidates that have applied to the position with the aid of magic. So within a series of candidates where you can see the list of potential, if you have a small amount of candidates, you can treat it quite easily. But if you are looking at a long list, what you can do is press this magic button here, and you will have a recommendation of all the people to see immediately, but also all the others that are worth shortlisting. What is more, the magic button will give you not necessarily the highest ranking, but actually a wide range of different candidates that may be strong to the profile in terms of motivation, key behaviors, attitude, etc. So you can see the high scores picked out, which were there in blue, but also if you go through and see someone in red, we're advising you to see them for an interview, to shortlist them, and we've identified them as having qualities that are relevant to the post. So due to the algorithms in our system, we're not just simply looking at a score, but the different qualities that a candidate can bring to a given role. Definitively, how do we see our job at AssessFirst? We see it as a way to help both candidates and employees to succeed. We want to help you change the way you recruit by identifying talent, helping people grow and evolve, but above all, we consider our job is to help you to succeed and to succeed in the long term. And that's why, as David has demonstrated, when we work with you, we will study the return on investment and follow your company so that we can see the results of predictive recruitment 12 months, 24 months, 36 months down the line. With those businesses that we have worked with, we've seen that in general, performance has increased by more than 15% in comparison with previous years when people were recruited in a more traditional manner. We have seen that the cost of recruitment is pushed down by 20% because with our tool, you can identify the correct candidate more quickly. You don't waste time interviewing profiles that are unsuitable. So recruiting time is reduced by 30% and turnover can be reduced by 50% because quite simply, you are finding candidates not just well suited, but happy in their jobs. Now, you don't have to simply believe us. You can also have a look at some of the people that we work with. And you can see with Burger King have said of us, since we've been using AssessFirst, we cut the attrition rate by 50% on all our managerial positions in our restaurants. The large department store in Paris, BHV Marie, said, thanks to AssessFirst's algorithms, we now recruit under 30 days instead of 45. We reduced attrition by 50% and increased our revenue by 11%. Carrefour said of us, our partnership with AssessFirst helped us create development plans for each and every employee in the company. The predictive model doesn't only have to be used for external recruitment, but can also be used internally as a talent review or to create a personal development plan for each employee. We have 3,500 customers in over 30 different countries throughout the world and 5 million plus predictions. At the moment, we work with a number of large retail companies, so you can see Zara, Carrefour, as I mentioned, Lidl, BHV. We work in the service industries. We work with insurance and banking, so AXA Insurance, ING Bank. We work with a large number of significant recruitment agencies, Hayes, Morgan Phillips, IBS, and we also work with a number of business schools and students to help them get a sense of their future orientation in the workplace.
So thank you, John, and thank you very much, everybody, for attending this webinar. We hope it'll help you have a better understanding concerning who employers are and how to recruit more of them for your company. And now, if you have any question, please feel free to ask us using the chat at your disposal on the GoToWebinar panel.
Okay, it doesn't look like that we have any questions there, but thank you very much for joining us today. for our AssessFirst webinar on who are A players. We hope it was informative to you and you enjoyed it. You're always welcome to contact us through our website. And I really appreciate you being here.